Hello friends, how are you today? I hope you're doing well. Please excuse the fan. I hope that it's not too loud. It is very warm. I just wanted to come to you today to answer a question that nobody asked, but I think that maybe people might have it if they do come across these videos and really do listen and pay attention to the whole story that I have to tell. And if you'd like to hear more about it, you can watch the videos or you can purchase my book. It's called Dark World Lightwork. It is on sale now, and the link is in the bio. And part of the story is about how I had two inheritances that were meant for me stolen by family members. And then also how I was eventually targeted by the government for speaking out against injustices online. And it all comes together at the same time in this very, very crazy story, which is why I wrote a book about it. But a question that people might have is, why didn't I just take the L and move on? Do you know what I mean? Because what I've heard from people many, many times is that, oh, that's just what happens with real estate at the end of a person's life. People are always just trying to steal the inheritance from other people, and people get cutthroat, and that's just what happens. It's not just what happens. And part of the reason why I just didn't move on, one of them was because that is what I worked for. I lived with my grandmother as her constant companion for 39 years. I held jobs and I had a life of my own, but I didn't realize at the time that our companionship was going to earn me the right to being her power of attorney and to having control over her assets if she ever became incapacitated or passed away. And she did happen to become incapacitated because she has Alzheimer's. And I took care of her towards the end, and we took care of each other the whole time. She made me her power of attorney. She wanted me to have her money. And that is what I intend to have happen, and I will get justice for having it stolen. 9 years ago, she was given a diagnosis of 6 years to live. She is still alive somewhere. She's not going to give up until her wishes are honored. Anybody who knows my grandmother, including her, knows that. She's a very, very stubborn woman when she has her opinions, and her opinion was for me to be safe and sound and for me to be the power of attorney over her assets. Nobody's budging until we get there. This woman, her daughter, thought, oh, well, why don't you just go find a husband and get somebody else with money and make it back? Why don't you just go do whatever it is that you were doing before and make it back? That's not how this works. You don't try and come and take somebody's future from them and then tell them to just reboot and just do something else different. And everybody in this situation knows exactly who I was and who I've been and who my grandmother was and who she has been and who we were to each other and what our wishes are and what her wishes were. And I'm not going to rest until they've been honored. And then on top of that, this woman in Seattle is just like, well, just go figure out another way to make money. Just go get a guy, go get another job. And then these people in the government target me for what I've said about them, and they block all my access to a future as well. They block my access to getting another job somewhere else. They block my access to getting housing. They block my access to getting benefits. They block my access to getting all kinds of stuff, trying to make me what they wanted me to be. All of them wanted me to be somebody who was destitute, who couldn't take care of myself, who blah, blah, blah. And it's all fake. And I know there are stories of people who were made homeless and they battled back. You know, they got a job at night working as a janitor or whatever it is. But that's not my story. That's not who I am. I'm an artist. I'm a star. And I am an heir. And I'm not going to let anybody play a different role for me. I'm not going to let anybody force me into another narrative. And I'm going to hold my ground until I get what I want, just like my grandmother. Neither of us are budging until justice is served, and that's coming soon. Thank you. Bye. I just wanted to conclude this video by talking to you a little bit about the aftermath or the after effects of being violated constantly and consistently over and over again for many, many years. It is the worst part of this entire situation is the injustice and the constant violation without any sort of retribution for the people. I can't even put into words. Well, I guess I can. I did put into words. I explained this into the book, and I hope that I did a good job of expressing the anger and the frustration that I feel from being falsely accused of a crime, arrested and jailed for something that I did not do. The only people I think on this planet that could ever understand how horrendous that is someone who had that done to them as well. And there are people who have done years, decades of prison time for crimes that they did not commit. And I used to watch, shows and specials on people like that, and it used to give me complete anxiety. It made my stomach turn. And now I know how these people feel. Also, people, especially women who have been violated. It is earth-shattering to have your sacred space, to have your body, and to have your personal safety compromised, particularly by a bunch of men. And when I was abducted from my home by a militia, because when the police force acts outside of the law, they are now a militia force with an armed militia force, and they abduct people. They are not arresting somebody if they don't do it legally. It's an abduction. And I was held for ransom for days, and then for months, 3 months the last time, for something that I did not do. And there is a part of the booking process, I write about this in the book, in Las Vegas, where they actually do it, they did it in California too, they strip everybody naked, but in Las Vegas, they film it. And they have you bend over and spread your butt cheeks and cough and all this very, very disgusting, degrading stuff. And if you have seen me or you pick up my vibe at all in these videos, you know I am a very modest person. I barely even get naked in front of myself, much less a group of people who are filming it. And that is a violation that it still takes time to recover from, because that's a violation of a sexual nature, and that is just absolutely disgusting. And the reason that they do that in Las Vegas is because they arrest a lot of prostitutes, and they like to film them naked and then watch it back later. And then to have my home violated, like basically, essentially, somebody came in and robbed my house, and actually robbed me of my house and separated me from somebody that I love. And that's the thing that is, I just had to carry on, back in the day, when the slave trade was something that was going on, families used to get separated like this all the time, where they would just take your parents away and you would likely never see them again because they moved them to a different state. And I know that luckily in this 21st century, it's easier for me to get back to my grandmother. She's not completely gone. But it has been an impossible journey back because of all of the roadblocks that have been put in my way. And those things are something that I basically don't carry it at the forefront of my mind as something that brings me down. I carry it in my heart, and it lights the fire that makes me keep going. And I go and I fight, and I want to succeed, not just for myself, not just for my grandmother, but for everybody who has ever been in a position like the positions that I have been put in here on earth. It is completely unfair, and I do want for there to be justice for everyone, and I want for other people's suffering, the people who came before me and suffered and died and never got resolution for these things, to not have done that in vain. And I want to win for them, for us, for good and for light, and I promise I will. Okay, that is all I have to say. I only have 15 seconds left. I love you. Bye.